Where are all of my metallic loving Jamberry people out there? If you are not one of those Jamberry metallic nail wrap loving people out there, good gracious, say that 3 times fast. Then I want you to be one of those people who love metallic finishes, because there are so many on the website in the catalog that are incredible, especially some of our seasonal ones that have metallic finishes on them. And if you're not partaking in the metallic finishes, you are missing out. I don't know if it's just a preferential thing because you don't prefer the high reflective shiny surface, but if for some reason you're not wearing metallics because you're not getting the best applications, then this video is for you, and I'm hoping to change your mind so you can join this group, because there's no reason why you should be missing out on so many of these designs, especially with the new catalog out. There are so many. I don't want anybody out there to have gone and circled a bunch of ones that they super duper loved, then went back and noticed that little symbol that said metallic and went, not getting it. I don't like metallics because they don't fit me well. There's no reason for that, so let's fix that. I'm going to get a couple of things out of the way, and we will come back to them. And, oh, I'm going to detour. Hold on just a second. I just saw my nails on the camera, and I was like, yeah, they still look so good. If you are a Jamberry nail wrap user, you know that our wraps, this is no surprise, are incredible. And with a great application, they look phenomenal for days, weeks. The reason I'm so excited about this particular application is because I applied these February 27th. That's 5 days ago. Today is March 3rd. And for the past 5 days, I have been doing nothing but serious landscaping in the yard. We did not have much of a winter here in Texas this year, so everything is in full bloom. That means we have to jump on the bandwagon now before everything fully blooms. So I have been chopping limbs off of trees without landscaping gloves. I have been picking up and bundling twigs and branches. I have been picking up leaves without landscaping gloves. I have potted plants without gloves. I know that our nail wraps are incredible, and there's pretty much nothing out there that is going to do what our nail wraps do, especially with how easy they are to apply. What I'm super impressed by is the accent nails that I have, which is Jamberry's Coffee Shop Lacquer. And I have a little bit of wear at the tips, but for what I have been putting my nails through, there are no chips. I mean, I love our products. Who would have thought? So if you say that you're in one of those professions, or you have a lot of hobbies that are really hard on your hands, Jamberry is still for you. Seriously. Okay, so anyway, now that I've squirreled, back to the business of metallic application. So there are a couple of things that go along with your application that should be just across the board. Super duper important. Nail prep. That's one of them. I'm going to remove, let's see, I think I'll do my pointer. I'm going to remove the lacquer. Having a good base, a good foundation for your application, whether it's nail prep, for nail wrap, lacquer, or gel, you need to have a clean surface, a fresh canvas, so to speak. So I'm going to start off with removing the lacquer that I have on there right now using our nail wrap and lacquer remover. And you can use little pump top. Some people prefer that. I'm just kind of like a flip it girl. So I'm going to make sure I get all of the residue off of my nail from the lacquer. And I'll have that removed. The next step that I'm going to do is use our nail prep cleanser. And this is going to make sure that any of those remaining residual oils, either from the cleaner, or if we didn't have anything on our nails, we just removed nail wraps, etc. We're just giving our nails a good, fresh scrub. So I've taken all the residual oil off. I'm not going to touch my nail surface now with my fingers because I don't want to transfer oil to it. So nice and clean. My cuticle is already pushed back, so I do not need to do any maintenance as far as that goes. If I did, though, I usually do this every 2 applications. I use the cuticle remover. This is our cuticle remover pen. It has a brush applicator at the end. I would twist the end, and the cuticle remover is dispensed onto the brush. And then I would swipe it around my cuticles, let it sit for about 45 seconds to a minute, and then I would use the spoon tool that we have in our deluxe toolkit, and that's when I push back the cuticle. I would use the cuticle nippers to remove any of that excess that's pushed back. So I'm making sure that I don't have any invisible cuticle or excess growth out onto my nail, so that it doesn't matter what you have on your nail, whether you're putting gel, lacquer, or nail wraps on your nail, the product is only touching your nail surface and not extra skin or growth. So my nail is fully cleaned. This is what I consider to be one of the most important parts of an application. The reason that this is the most important is because it goes against our instinct to fully cover our nail. What you need to do is embrace the gap. Embrace the gap just basically means that you're applying a nail wrap over your nail and you're not going to get full coverage from side to side, because we do not want full coverage from side to side of our nail. We don't want that because we have to make sure that the nail wrap is only touching our nail and not coming in contact with any skin or cuticle, because those either have oil directly on top of them, and our oil naturally immerses from our skin. So while it might not be on there when you apply it, it will be on there afterward, just because we're human beings. So I need to make sure that I am finding the nail wrap that is going to give me the most coverage for my nail without full coverage. I know that for me, if I were to go to the size 8, if you look at the nail wrap sheet, 1s are the largest, 9s are the smallest. I know if I go to 8, I'm going to get a lot of coverage, but I'm not going to get the most coverage I can have while still having a gap. So for me, I'm a size 7. Lucky me, my ring and my pointer fingers are both size 7. So occasionally I need to go up a size and trim it in order to make sure that I'm able to get full use out of my entire sheet. So I know for me, I'm naturally a size 7. I'm going to lay my sheet down. You can use an orange stick or tweezers, and I'm going to lift up the end of my nail wrap. Help if I turn my heater on. Just my mini heater. And then I'm going to use the scissors from my deluxe toolkit, and I'm going to cut my nail wrap in half. That's it. No big deal. Without using my fingers, because I don't want to transfer oil to the back, I'm just going to rotate it around so that I'm able to use the tweezers to hold the tip that's not touching my nail surface. For metallics, I tend to hold them a little less in front of the heat than I would, say, glossy or sparkle. I hold it in front of the heater about 2-3 inches away. And I held it in front for about 3 seconds, maybe a little longer because the heater wasn't already warmed up. When I'm lining it up on my nail, I want to make sure that I'm not touching the cuticle. I'm near the cuticle, but I'm trying to remember to embrace the gap. And I want to make sure that I have it centered so that it's not going to touch one side or the other. I tend to do thumb up at the cuticle, and I press down the center all the way to the tip of my nail. Then I come around the right side and I swoop. I come around the left side and I swoop. As you can see right away, I already have a smooth application all the way around my nail. Here is where I already start to see some people having some difficulty. The trouble is that they've attempted to use a size of nail wrap that is larger for their finger than they should be using. So if you are already starting to see some buckling or puckering around the edges of your nail wrap, I would say the first thing that you need to check is the size of the nail wrap that you're using. If you are already seeing that, then you perhaps need to size down or trim the nail wrap before you apply it so that you're not having something that's giving you full coverage from side to side. I have a sliver of nail showing there and a sliver of nail showing there. Here is where I apply the heat one more time. And then we get to use our purple stick of gold. The purple stick of gold comes inside our application kit. And you just want to make sure that you're circling all the way around the cuticle and giving good pressure. Don't be afraid. I mean, you're going to know your threshold for how much pressure, but there should never be so much pressure that you're in pain. and I'm going all the way to the tip. And I always make sure, one of the last things that I do is I'm focusing right on the tip. The reason you need to do that is because when you remove the extra portion of the nail wrap that's hanging over, if you haven't fully secured the nail wrap all the way to the tip of your nail, then you will have lifting there first because you haven't fully bonded it to your nail. Now, typically what I would do is I usually start pinky to thumb, and then once I've gotten to the thumb with applying the nail wraps, I would start at the pinky and I would start to remove the excess. I'm going to turn the heat off now. And I would give this a little while to cool. I have that full bond. As you can see, I do not have any puckering or wrinkling. If for some reason you do feel like you have the right width nail wrap, but you're still seeing a little bit of that, after you have warmed it, you can go ahead and gently, on the excess portion that we're going to be removing anyway, you can go ahead and give it a gentle pull. There's no reason why you can't do that. What you don't want to do is give it a really strong pull, because these do have some elasticity to them. Just like with a rubber band, once you've pulled it past its initial shape, it's never going to fully return to that shape again. So you don't want to pull too hard, but if you do give it a little pull just to help with a wrinkle, that's okay. So I think I'm going to go ahead and trim now. In the application kit comes the coarse file. I do use this to take off all of the excess from my nail wraps, regardless of what finish, but I do go an extra step further, especially with sparkles and metallics, and I'll show you that in just a second. But in the meantime, in a downward motion only, 90-degree angle, I'm just going to lightly buff around and take the shape of my nail, and the excess nail wrap will come off. Boom. Done. It is fully secured all the way to the tip of my nail. I have no lifting. I have no puckering. And this is where I'm going to take it a step further. In our deluxe toolkit, we have something called the glass file. I call this thing the finisher. I know that sounds like a superhero name, but this is essential, in my opinion, for removing the excess nail wrap quickly. I call this the finisher because it finishes the job, especially on metallics and sparkles, because the material is slightly different. When you're using a coarse file, you want to make sure that you're giving it that buttery smooth edge. Same thing with this, downward motion, 90-degree angle. The grit on the file is much finer than you would find it on the application kit nail file. This one basically completely gives it a rounded, smooth edge. You can't feel it, but I'm just going to tell you, it's awesome. And that's it. That is it for a metallic wrap application. There's nothing that I did differently, with the exception of maybe a little less heat so that it doesn't curl as much when I apply it. But key things to think of. You have to embrace the gap. You have to make sure that you're using a wrap that is slightly smaller than your nail. You have to make sure that you're leaving a little bit of gap all the way around your nail. And just like with anything, nail prep is super important. So make sure that your cuticles are pushed back. If you have invisible cuticle or you have not removed anything from your nail in quite a while, cuticle remover, and then push it back, remove it, and then nail prep. Make sure that you're using something to fully remove residue from your nail, like your lacquer or your former nail wraps, and make sure that you're working with a clean canvas. That is it. And then I swear by this, the finisher. I hope that helps you guys. I hope to see so many more metallics on Instagram. Don't forget to hashtag those bad boys, because seeing them on hands is a great way for some other people to decide if they are a good fit for them. So enjoy. I hope this helped you all, and I will talk to you later.